So what the heck do I mean by this title that your D&D villains need to be more like beavers? Well, simply put, thinking of your villains in terms of the North American beaver can heavily improve your TTRPG games. So just make it to the end of this video with me, and I promise you, you will have better villains overnight. Firstly, what do beavers like to do? They like to cut down trees, right? No matter what you or I are doing, they're still out there chopping down trees. The beaver has a task that it is trying to accomplish no matter what. My question for you is your D&D villain doing that? Seriously, there are a lot of villains that are completely party dependent. If the D&D party isn't doing things, then the villain stays static. That can lead to a lot of problems in any TTRPG. So think of what your villain's equivalent of chopping down trees is. Your villain should always have a task that they are trying to accomplish that they are doing no matter what. Know what your villain's equivalent of chopping down trees is, and have them attack that goal with the same ferocity as the North American beaver. But secondly, what else do beavers do? I'd argue this is the thing they're most known for. Beavers make dams with the trees that they've cut down. These dams are strong, sturdy, and built off of the fruits of the beaver's labor. However, they're also incredibly annoying. A beaver dam blocks up a river and changes the surrounding environment. Make sure your villain is building something similar. Your TTRPG villains need to be constructing plans that are obviously visible to the party. They also need to be incredibly annoying and/or destructive to the party members in total. Ideally, your villain's plan needs to block the party members from what they want to do. Let's say you have a wizard in the party, and they're trying to create a new school of magic. Well, part of the villain's dam could be that they are taking all the resources across the land that the wizard needs in order to create their new school of magic. And if the villain succeeds, the wizard will never be able to create their new school of magic. Your wizard is sailing down the river, and then all of a sudden they hit the beaver dam. Hopefully you see what I'm getting at here. You want villains that work in the background, that have their own plans. Then, if or when those plans come to fruition, they need to be large enough to block the party's movement. However, there's also a third thing involved here with this dam analogy. If you're going down the river and you see a beaver dam blocking your way, then you know exactly what to do. In order to get past the beaver dam, you have to destroy it. A beaver dam is not only visible, but you know how to get around it. I've worked with a lot of new DMs over the years, and a lot of times their parties struggle to know what's actually going on in a campaign. Ideally, as DMs, we want to construct villains whose final goal has a simple solution to understand. In Star Wars, the Death Star is a big problem, but what's the solution that the party comes to at the end of the day? You blow it up. The way to defeat your D&D villains needs to be like that. Simple to understand, hard to execute. I mean, it's simple to understand breaking up a beaver dam in the middle of a river. Actually getting that done is very difficult. So let's give an example of a D&D villain that is like a beaver. Why don't we go with the good old Cult of the Dragon who's trying to summon Tiamat? The Cult of the Dragon's trees are collecting a series of artifacts so that they can summon Tiamat. Even if the party isn't doing something, the Cult of the Dragon is going around collecting these artifacts. Ideally, a party should be able to see these artifacts getting plucked off the map one by one. Remember, a party should be able to recognize the trees being felled in their campaign. Now, what's the dam that the Cult of the Dragon is trying to create? Well, they're trying to summon Tiamat. And I think we could all agree if Tiamat gets summoned, a lot of the party's plans are going right out the window. Even the most narcissistic party member that only cares about themselves can recognize, I probably don't want Tiamat being released, because that threatens my existence. Alright, but how does the party destroy this dam? Well, they stop Tiamat from being summoned, of course. Maybe they keep the artifacts away from the Cult of the Dragon. Maybe they get the items they need for a counter ritual. Ideally, it should be very obvious to the party what they need to do. I'd probably go with just keeping the artifacts out of the hands of the Cult of the Dragon, and eventually destroying that organization. And just like that, we have a simple, easy to run villain for our next D&D campaign. A villain that feels real and is a threat to the party, while also not being incomprehensible and will leave your party members saying, wait, what are we doing? Always, your party should be able to sum up exactly what they're trying to do to defeat the villain. We're trying to stop Tiamat from rising by keeping these artifacts away from the Cult of the Dragon. Or, I'm trying to use C4 to blow up that beaver dam that is preventing me from going down a river. Now, you also might be wondering, why the hell did I use a beaver metaphor for this video? And quite honestly, the reason is simplicity. One of the things that drags newer DMs down the most is when they try and overcomplicate their campaigns. A bloated D&D campaign can be the fastest end to a great idea. From my perspective, a beaver is an incredibly simple metaphor. I don't know why, but over the years, pretty much every DM that I've explained this metaphor to has gotten it. A beaver is not a complex animal. They chop down trees and they make dams. And honestly, great villains are the same. A great villain doesn't need to be overly complex. A lot of the time, a great villain is just simple. Now, if you want more help simplifying your campaigns, check out this video right here. Seriously, it will help you turn a campaign that's gotten away from you and has become way too complex into something a lot simpler and easier to run. Also, you can hop over to the Patreon if you want, as I do offer DM coaching for just $35 a month. This is great if you need more personal help running your own TTRPG campaigns. And thank you for entering the dungeon.